Hello, everybody. Welcome to Work-Based Webinar Wednesday. This week, we're talking and we're highlighting our finance career cluster. We got a very special guest, a very celebrity type guest for Rowan County. We have Miss Smith, who's our ICC that's over the business, finance, and marketing um, program area for Rowan Salisbury schools. And so, we're going to go ahead and get started, and we're going to talk about the finance career cluster today. So, without further ado, I'm Dominique Bates, the Associate CTE Director for Work-Based Learning and Community Partnerships for Rowan Salisbury Schools. I just have 3 rules for you today if you're watching this video. Look, listen, and learn. So if you're looking at this video, you're looking. And you need to be listening. Turn your listening ears on. If you're listening, then you're bound to learn something. So just remember those 3 L's today. Look, listen, and learn. Ms. Smith is on you.
Hello, everyone. My name is Ms. Smith. I am recently located at Salisbury High School as the instructional career coach. And here at Salisbury High School, we have some wonderful different programs from our machining lab, business, and nursing fundamentals. And I'm excited about this opportunity that you all were able to see what our financial industry has to offer you all.
Absolutely. So our guest today is Nick Means. As you can see it on the screen, I'm not going to steal his thunder. Mr. Means, can you go ahead and introduce yourself, talk to the students, tell them what you do, tell them who you are.
First of all, thank you guys for having me today. I always consider it an honor to be amongst, people like yourself, Mrs. Smith and Brother Bates, but also I consider it an honor to speak to our youth. Again, my name is Nick Means. I'm the Training and Development Officer for F&M Bank. I've been here a little bit over 18 and a half years. So it'll be 19 years in May of 2021. So originally from Thomasville, North Carolina, but I've been here for 21 years. So I've lived here longer than I've lived in Thomasville. So I guess you consider me a Rowan County guy.
Absolutely, we do. Hey, we welcome you, and we want to keep you here. So with open arms, man, don't go anywhere. So my first question is, since we're talking to middle school and high school students, who influenced you as a middle school or a high school, even a college student, and even now as an adult? Talk about some influences. So people who had an influence on your life and kind of honed you into the individual that you are today.
Well, it's ironic that you asked that because being from Thomasville, a lot of us who friends of mine who normally the 99 crew guys I graduated with, we call ourselves villagers. We're from the village. So we call Thomasville the village. And that's pretty much who I was raised by. I was raised by the village. It wasn't just my parents. It wasn't just my grandparents. It was extended family. It was adults in the neighborhood. It was adults just in the community. So I had the privilege and the honor of being exposed to a lot of positive people. 2 that I will highlight, my mother, who was a teacher, and my grandfather, who was a pastor. So watching those 2 individuals serve their communities in different capacities really helped shape and mold me into the person that I am today. One of those people who inspired me today is your father, Tim Bates. Again, a servant. That's really what it boils down to me with. Just being a servant, having a servant's heart. The better off you are serving your community and serving those around you, the better your life is going to be. So that's kind of why I got into coaching. My father was a coach. Again, my mom a teacher, my grandfather a pastor. So coaching and just being a servant has always been around me. It's always been instilled in me since a youngin', and it just goes into what I do on a daily basis now. We're working at the bank. I'm serving my community.
Okay. So can you speak about your career journey and how you got to where you at? Did you ever even have that why moment that this is where you're supposed to be?
Wow, that's a loaded question, and since we're on time constraints and we don't want to be here all day until
Okay.
Christmas, I'll try to make it short and sweet.
Okay.
Talk about it. Talk about it.
I had an aunt who worked in banking.
Okay.
Never knew what she did. All I knew is that for Christmas, my sister and I would get a book of $50 $1 bills, and it had like High Point Bank on it or whatever bank she was working for, and it was like a little checkbook, and it was connected on the end, and it just had brand new $1 bills. I probably started getting those when I was maybe around 13. I still had probably 2 books when I was in college because I never spent money, and that was something that was special to me. But other than knowing that she worked at the bank, I had no idea about banking. I never saw anybody that looked like me in banking. I had well, talking about Salisbury High School, Jalen Walker. Jalen's parents were getting married at Catawba College back in, I want to say, 2003. I was going into my senior year, and 2002, I apologize, 2002. I was going into my senior year at Catawba, and I was talking to the head coach at the time, and I said, Coach, man, I need a job. I don't want to go back home. If I go home, I'm not going to do what I'm supposed to do. I need to stay here, work out with the guys, but I don't want to drive back and forth up and down 85 every day. He said, well, talk to that guy right there. He's a vice president at a bank. And I looked at the guy, and I was like, I remember that guy from the football games. He's a huge Catawba fan. So I walked up to him, introduced myself, and it ended up being Bob Setzer, who was the mortgage lender at the bank for 20 plus years. Talked to him, told him what my GPA was, what I was trying to do. He said, hey, man, get me a resume. I got him a resume. Within 2 weeks, I had a job, no interview. Of course, my circumstances are completely different, but just having relationships with people, being connected to the institution like Catawba College, him seeing me play football in college, seeing how I carried myself, knowing that I wasn't just a football player or an athlete, I actually did what I was supposed to do in school. It got me the opportunity to come in, and I worked that summer before my senior year in college. I worked every day from 8:30 to 5. Had such a great experience. I asked him, could I come back and do an internship? So my second semester, my senior year, I worked from 12 to 5 every day because I only needed like 3 classes to graduate. So all of my classes were in the morning. I would leave Catawba College, drive down to Granite Quarry, and go to work at what is now our branch, but our operations center. That's where I was working, which was pretty much in the basement of our Granite Quarry office. So I just had the opportunity, and 18 and a half years later, here we are. I've done everything from run a teller window to stuffing statements with stuffing envelopes with statements and checks, to being a customer service rep, to being a branch manager, and now training everyone in the bank. So it's been a journey. It was extremely slow in the beginning. Things have started to pick up as far as me having more and more opportunity, but just stay the course. Nothing happens overnight. Again, there were times I was frustrated. I felt like it wasn't moving fast enough, but I remained humble. I kept my nose down, kept focused, had some good people around me, pointing me in the right direction, and things eventually worked out in my favor.
Wow, it's a lot of lessons to be learned just in that one story that you told. But I just want to point one out, man. It's not always about what you know. So you can go to school and you can learn as much as possible. You can be at the top of your class. You can be the smartest person in your class. You can be masterful at your craft. But if you don't know anybody to help you get your foot in the door, then it's going to be hard for you to get your foot in the door. So it's not always about what you know, but a big part of it is who you know and who can help you get your foot in the door. And another thing for students, man, y'all need to realize that people are always watching you. You're always making an impression on somebody. Somebody's always watching you. And so if Mr. Means didn't make a good impression on Mr. Setzer, you said that's his name, right? If Bob Setzer didn't know who Nick Means was, and he had a bad impression of Nick Means, then guess what? He probably wouldn't even offered you that job. He wouldn't have entertained your request or any of that. And then the next lesson is man, don't be afraid. You got to take risks. You got to put yourself out there and let people know what you can do. It's not always bragging or boasting on yourself, but you got to give yourself a chance. If you never put yourself out there and you never take that risk, then you're gonna limit yourself on some of your chances. And so, students, I just wanted to point that out to you. Those are some notes that I took just from that story that he told. So, Mr. Means, can you tell us you've been in the industry for 18 years. Tell us what makes your role in the industry unique.
My job is different every day.
Mm-hmm.
So with me being a training and development officer, that is exactly what I do. I train and I develop. So if there's anything new coming out, whether it's industry related or it is our bank specific related, I have to learn about it. I have to teach myself how to do it, and then I have to develop uh, a curriculum or training materials to teach everybody else how to do it. So um, I have to be able to critically think. I have to be self-motivated, because if I don't motivate myself enough to learn how to do it on my own, there's no way I'm going to be able to help anyone else. And unfortunately, the training that I get comes from more of a corporate level, so to speak. So whomever the vendor is, they might have, videos, they might have um, documentation that you can read up on, but it is so bland. So I have to then take that and decipher what's important to our organization and roll it out F&M specific. It might be, okay, banking wide, this is how it's done, but how is it done here at F&M? So I have to make sure that I take the information that is provided and then make it F&M centric, to where, okay, well, this is how we're going to use it here. This is how we're going to apply it here. So, and it kind of goes back to what you were talking about as well. Communication skills. You have to be able to communicate. And a lot of people think a communicator is how you talk, but the most part of communication is listening. We have 135 employees. Everybody learns differently. Everybody learns at a different pace. Everybody has a different capacity as far as what they can um, comprehend and what they can retain. And I have to change my message based upon the level of the employee that I'm speaking with, whether it be someone at a management level, someone at an entry level, someone who's been in the banking for 30 years, or someone who's been in the banking for 30 days. I have to cater my message to the individual that's on the other side. So the ability to converse with people and break things down in a manner in which they can comprehend is extremely important.
So I got a question just based off of that just popped in my head from you just talking. You're an athlete. You're a world class athlete. I'm gonna just put it out there like that. This guy, for students who don't know, he played at Catawba. He played football at Catawba. He played wide receiver, right? And he is in the Catawba Hall of Fame. So he's one of the best athletes to ever come through Catawba. Um, this question is for the athletes out there. How does the game of football transfer to, or just sports in general, transfer to, what you do every day on an everyday basis, like for your job? How do some of those principles transfer?
Great question. I'm glad you brought that back up, because I wanted to kind of allude to that. Um, a lot of times we, as African American males, and I was just having a conversation with someone earlier, and I brought up a Biggie Small lyric that I won't repeat on here. But a lot of times we think that the only way to make it is in entertainment. We have to either play ball or we have to entertain by something with music. Unfortunately, we don't see a lot of professionals that look like us. So a lot of times, if you don't, seeing is believing. And if you don't see it, then you don't believe that you can accomplish it. But with that being said, sports taught me how to look, listen, and learn.
Mhm.
I had to look at the coach. I had to look toward the coach for guidance. I had to look toward the coach for structure. I had to look toward the coach for direction. And in looking for that, I had to listen to what they were saying, active listening. And then not only just hearing what they said, but actually carrying out what they said, which to me is active listening. And then just learning, learning from the mistakes I made, learning from the mistakes that people around me made, learning from the mistakes that a coach may make. But being able to come together with a bunch of other people from different backgrounds, from different levels of talent, and being able to find one common goal and all of us working together towards that common goal um, helped me become the person that I am today. Um, there's nothing like sports because that brings us together more than anything else in this world. The tough lessons that I've learned have come from failures in sports. You talked about the successes that I've had, on the football field, but I learned more from the failures. Those failures that I had brought about those successes. Had I never dropped the ball, had I never been told that I wasn't good enough, I would have never went out there with the determination to prove everyone wrong. I would never went out there with the determination to say I'm better or can be better than what they say I am, or I'm not who they say that I am. So a lot of times, when we're doing sports, a lot of us get so caught up in the passion and the winning that we don't learn. And you made a great point. Had I been out there and had I been a butthole and I just was treating everybody terribly, or I'm out there, running off at the mouth, just giving off bad vibes and bad energy, then guess what? He would have never given me that opportunity because of the simple fact I showed him who I was when I thought no one was paying attention. Somebody is always watching you, just like you just said, Mr. Bates. Someone is always watching you, and they're going to judge you based upon your actions. A lot of us are judged based upon a perception, but when you show people, they should believe it. So you always just have to be cognizant of what's going on, who's watching, who's listening. And if you do that and you just take the principles that you learn in sports, it'll take you a long way. I mean, I can tell here at work that people who have a sports background and the people who don't. The work ethic is totally different. Their critical thinking, they're working through things that are tough. It's totally different because athletes are accustomed to failing because you either win or you lose. Losing them in most sports is failing. So no one wants to have that feeling again. So they try to do everything that they can to prevent themselves from going through that again. So, here at work, sometimes things don't go the way that I want them to go. So I have to look at the situation, take a step back and say, okay, what could I have done differently so that the next time I can be more successful? The next time I won't have to have 2 training sessions with this individual. They could get it on the first. I don't look at it as they're not getting it. I missed out. I failed at making them understand it. It's not their fault. It's my fault. So I have to find a way to be better every day. And that's where the athletic aspect of it comes in. It's just striving to be better every day. You're either getting better or you're getting worse.
That's good. So, what awareness would you like for teenagers to know about banking that can help them for the future?
Um, Learn as much as you possibly can about managing money. Regardless of what career you go into, regardless of how successful you are in life, um, as far as the amount of money that you make, if you can't manage your money, you're going to be broke. It's that simple. There are doctors who are broke. There are professional athletes who are broke. There are professional entertainers who are absolutely broke because of the simple fact they could not manage their money. If you are good stewards of what you're given and you learn how to manage what you have, I promise you to be better off. It's not about how much you make, it's about how much you spend. Because if you make $1 million and you spend 1.5, you broke. But if you make $30,000 and you spend $10,000, then you better off than the person who made $1 million and spent 1.5. So it's just all about budgeting, and I, along with the North Carolina Bankers Association and F&M Bank and the diversity, equity, inclusion council that I serve on for the state, we are trying to implement some of those practices within our school systems, because from a holistic standpoint, because if we're preaching it to the kids at school and they go home and mom and dad or grandma and grandpa aren't implementing it, it doesn't matter. It's going to go out the window. So we need to start getting with these kids early on, teaching them about managing money, teaching them about credit, so that when they step out, they're in a much better position to be successful in life. So when they graduate college or they graduate high school, they want to make that first purchase, that they have some type of good credit, because the better off your credit is, the cheaper the payment is going to be. The lower, the worse your credit is, the higher the payment is going to be. So we have to start putting ourselves in a better position. And I look forward to partnering with the school system, partnering with anybody in the community, just to teach financial literacy. Because the better off we are holistically as a family, mom, dad, the adults, the kids, as long as everybody is on the same page, then we could just improve our community just from that. Poverty comes from sometimes bad situations, and a lot of times it may come from just the mismanagement of funds.
It's true.
That's all great advice. And so, Mr. Means, if you don't have anything else for our students, then we're just going to end it right there. Do you have anything else?
Well, I'm just for those who are a little bit older, your high school kids. My grandfather told me a long time ago that no matter how good or bad in life you're doing, somebody want to be just like you. So just make sure that you're setting a good example for those people who are looking up to you. Again, like Mr. Bay said, always know that somebody's watching you. Somebody's watching it, and that opportunity that you want, you may get it based upon what side of you that you showed them when you didn't realize they were paying you any attention. And you may get that opportunity based upon the leadership, the nice attitude, the well-spokenness, the just doing the right thing. You might get that opportunity just because you handled yourself in the right way. So life is not easy. It's not easy, and it's never too late to do the right thing. So just never be in competition with anybody but the person that you were yesterday. So just try to be a better person today than you were yesterday, and a better person tomorrow than you were today.
That's good. Thank you.
Thank you for this. We really appreciate you taking the time out of your day. To me, this is an investment into our students. So thank you for investing into our students today. We appreciate everything that you're doing in the community. We appreciate, just serving us through F&M Bank. You serve on in a lot of different capacities within the community as well. So from CTE to you, Mr. Means, we want to say thank you. And we appreciate everything that you do. And students, I have for you just a quick wrap up of the aha moments from today's webinar. Number one, be a servant. Number two, people are always watching you. Number three, stay the course, stay focused. Number four, it's not what you know, but it's who you know. Number five, be self-motivated. Number six, listening is a communication skill. Number seven, budget and manage your money wisely. And number eight, monitor and maintain your credit. And that's all we have for you today. This is our work-based webinar Wednesday, and we're signing off. So thankful for you watching today, and y'all have a blessed day.
Thank you.
Thank y'all.